Hi, everybody. Melanie here. I want to talk a few minutes about teacher management styles. And this is going to be an interactive activity. So this isn't just a lecture video. Instead, you are going to interact with a questionnaire that you're going to download and then view the rest of it to kind of go through all the steps. So we're exploring your management style. You'll use a teacher questionnaire designed to identify where you are on a continuum of management styles. So it's important to understand that it's a continuum, not an either or, right? That you land at different points on these continua. It's important for you to know you will not be expected to share the results with anyone, and you will not turn this in to me. There will be a question associated with this activity on your weekly assignment, but it's more like a reflection question. So before we go any further, pause this video and make sure you download the teacher questionnaire that I've placed on D2L. It looks like this. It's called Form PCI, and I'll be talking about what PCI stands for in a few minutes. Okay, so now you're ready to take the questionnaire. For each statement, please decide on a scale of 1, which means never true, to 6, meaning always true, the extent to which the statement reflects your personal view. Now, it's important to know there are no right or wrong answers, and also that this will only be a helpful exercise if you're truly honest with yourself as you reflect on the statements. Okay, so at this point, go ahead and take the questionnaire. So pause this video, answer your questions, and then come back to the video. Okay, welcome back. If you have not answered the questions, do so before moving on in this video, because now I'm going to talk about interpreting the questionnaire that you just filled out. So what is this? This is called the Pupil Control Ideology, or PCI survey. It's one of the earliest approaches to conceptualizing and thinking about teachers' perspectives on discipline. When we think about classroom management, the idea of how do we deal with student behavior is really an important question. So in this survey, it explores teachers' beliefs about discipline along 2 dimensions, or what I think of like orientations or styles: custodial management orientation and humanistic management orientation. So let me talk a few minutes about these 2 orientations. In a custodial management orientation, the ultimate goal is to preserve the order of the classroom and have control or student compliance with the rules, okay? No teacher wants to have an out of control classroom, right? So that is the ultimate goal in this orientation. So some other important elements to be aware of is in this orientation, students are understood that they need to be taught how to behave properly, that it's kind of not natural for them to do so. And that misbehaviors, when students misbehave, they're often willful actions of disrespect. You knew better, you knew the rule, but you did this anyways. And the teacher's role in this orientation is to maintain control and order in the classroom. That is, as I said, that's the goal, and that's the teacher's role. Okay, from a humanistic orientation, the ultimate goal is for students to learn to regulate their own behaviors with effective social emotional tools. So important things to remember from this orientation are that teachers hold the view that students have needs that need to be nurtured and attended to, and that teachers are part of that process. When misbehaviors happen, teachers identify those misbehaviors as the outcomes of unmet needs. So instead of it being a willful disrespect, we think, what does that student need? And what is not getting met that we might be able to help them get? And the teacher's role is to create a classroom environment in which students can learn to self-regulate and control their own behavior and discipline from this orientation. Okay, so how do you figure this out according to the questionnaire that you took? Add all the numbers you're circled on the odd questions and add them up. This is your score for the custodial management orientation. Remember, we're talking about a continuum, not an either or. Okay, so all the odd questions, total them up and save that score as that is your score for where you land on the custodial management orientation. And notice the higher the score, the more custodial you see your role in the classroom in terms of discipline and management. Okay. Now, add all of the number. Oh, I'm sorry. That shouldn't say, let me get rid of it. Shouldn't. I meant to have this on the next slide. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, add all the numbers you circled on the even questions. This is your score for the humanistic management orientation. The higher the score, the more humanistic you see your role in the classroom in terms of discipline. And remember those different roles that teachers view themselves in. Okay, where do you fall? Kind of look at these numbers. You could use this timeline. You could jot it down if you like. Kind of circle where you are. And is this where you thought you would be? Okay, it's just some consideration. Think about where you are on both these continua. And is this where you thought you would be? Okay, just a bit of new research. That tool was originally created, as it was mentioned earlier, in 1967. That's pretty old, right? However, that particular tool and others that have been either derived from it or in response to it continue to be useful in research. And I placed some references on the next page in case you're interested in going a little deeper into this field of study. So studies like Diaz et al., Kading et al., and Samafira et al. Are ones you might be interested in. You could also just type in pupil control inventory, or let's see, let's go back to that. Make sure I have the name right, sorry. Pupil control ideology. I knew it wasn't right. And put that into like a Google Scholar search, and you can see all the kinds of research that have been going on about that since then. And here are the references to that. Okay, I do have a question in this week's assignment for you to reflect upon this activity a little bit, so make sure you go and do that.